Hey, what's up everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. We've got some information about how Dignitas actually conducts their business with finding some of their players possibly, as well as other various things like org signings and some updates and some roster releases. Basically the typical stuff that's been going on lately. But before we get into that, as always, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys hit subscribe and turn on notifications, as it does help me out greatly, as well as if you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop those down below. I'll do my best to get to them in a timely fashion. But it might be a little bit because we got WSW this weekend, which I'll be casting. So stay tuned for that, but let's get into the news. First things up, recently on the Saltcast, a podcast with Johnny Boy and Smellsworth, they ended up sitting down and talking with Joreuz from Dignitas, and he ended up having a little bit of a slip up. Take a look.
I got like Verge told me to do it, otherwise I get fined. But like
What? Wait.
Nothing.
Sorry, say that again.
You guys have a fine system. Nice.
So
what kind of fines
are
we talk?
fining their players if they don't have enough hours in Rocket League?
I'm not gonna say anything.
Well, you've said it now.
No, I don't.
Leaked.
No, like I want to, but I don't think I know. I don't know if I can.
Well,
What's
whether
the
or not
fine? What's the fine for talking about the fine club?
Now, there's two sides to this, and depending on which way you want to look at it, we're going to start with Dignitas' perspective first. Obviously, being an organization that is paying a player thousands of dollars to compete, there is going to be obligations and expectations that are set for them in a contract, whether it be how many hours they play, what they have to do for streaming hours, whether it be certain social media requirements, or whatever it may be. And obviously, them not wanting that information to be public as a non-disclosure agreement in the contract is totally understandable. So I think Joreuz just had a little bit of a slip up and was speaking candidly, which obviously makes for a good interview or a good conversation. But there is some people that are upset that fines are a thing because he is a young kid, but it goes both ways. Obviously, Dignitas, like I said, it's a business. They are trying to make sure that they either incentivize or hold people accountable because they are paying them a lot of money. On the opposite side of this, for Joreuz, he is a young kid, and he, even though he is 15, 16, 17, wherever it may be, is signing a legally binding contract. And there's a couple things that you need to consider, and this is more of just an educational thing for those that ever find themselves in the position. And again, as clarity, I'm not a lawyer by any means. I know my name is what is auto-corrected. If you type Lawler, it auto-corrects to lawyer, but I promise I'm not a lawyer. This is not official legal advice. Consult an actual lawyer, pay a lawyer, have them look over contracts for you. But if you are signing a legally binding contract, you need to be aware of the rules and the stipulations that are being made. And if one of those things is play X amount of hours in a certain period of time, you are responsible for that. And if there is things like you being a younger kid and there being child labor laws against that, that is something that you need to do in contract negotiations and bring up to someone, in this example, Dignitas, and say, hey, I'm only this age. My country says I can only work X amount of hours a week. I have to adhere to that, and therefore we need to adjust the contract. And at that point, Dignitas can come back and be like, well, either A, well, I guess we're going to go with someone who can play a little bit more, or they're willing to say, well, we think you're really good, and they double down on it and go, okay, let's adjust it so we don't have any issues. This was part of the thing that happened with Mouse Sports and Scrubkill a while back of why he wanted to be hired as a contractor rather than as an employee. Because if he's an employee getting paid a salary in that regard, then he has to adhere to the labor laws, and he's not allowed to scrim or practice or whatever it may be as much as he may like to. So again, there's a lot of stuff that comes along with this. That's why you have a co-signer when you're a younger age, like a parent or a legal guardian. But bringing on someone like a lawyer, like this is a big deal. These are legally binding contracts. And luckily, a lot of these organizations recognize that these are kids and let them kind of skate by on some of this stuff. But as Rocket League Esports gets considerably larger and larger, and we're pulling the numbers that it is, and things do start to progress towards a more serious level, things like this will not slide. And I'm not saying that this is an issue right now. It's just me kind of informing you guys on this situation. But these are things that you can consider if you ever find yourself in a legally binding document. And I guess the best way to explain it is if I go work a 9-to-5 retail sales job and all of a sudden I don't perform the full hours of my shift, I either get reprimanded, written up, insubordination, whatever it is. And if it happens again, they just fire you. So again, finding them, because Dignitas is guaranteeing Joreuz a guaranteed amount of money every single month, they're reducing that amount if he doesn't fulfill his hours, which makes sense. Now, again, this is obviously a very, very small insert of what is actually being discussed here. We don't know the full details. There's not a whole lot, but this is just me using this as an opportunity to educate the audience and inform you guys that, yes, there is some organizations that do take different approaches to the way they handle contracts. One of them is finding you to incentivize to like, hey, we want you to do this because we know it works for other players. We also want you to do that same level of effort. There's other teams that will pay you a lesser salary but give you incentive-based programs where, yes, the pay is less, but the better you perform, the more bonuses or incentives that you get. If you work hard, you grind hard, and you have the results that show that, you're getting an additional bonus. On the organization side, like, we don't have to commit to paying you a bunch of money, but if we're winning and our name is getting out there more and there's a lot of fans coming in, then yeah, of course, we'll pay you more. And then we can negotiate your contract at the end of that if the performance dictates that you deserve a raise or not. So again, it's a very interesting concept, and it's cool to see that some of this stuff does come out to light because it's always interesting to see what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to the organization to the player kind of conversations. So hopefully you guys enjoy this kind of stuff. Moving along into some more lighthearted things. If you guys haven't seen this tweet by Reddles, they do talk about how they are ready to terrorize Division 3 in the field. Obviously in North America, the field is taken way less seriously than it is in Europe, and you can see why. You've got 3 players from 3 different teams all signing up and competing together in the field. Part of the reason why this is a capability is because North America puts a lot of emphasis on scrims where they pick a 1-hour time slot with another team. They play for an hour straight, and they do that for a couple hours, maybe a few hours a night. Because of that, they don't really have time for the field because they don't think it's justifiable to get a $3,000 for a month commitment when you're spending roughly 20 minutes 3-0 a team, and then you're just kind of SOL, while teams in Europe put a lot of emphasis in the field, but they don't really scrim. So it looks like the guys are still having a little bit of fun. This is for more of like a mental relaxation kind of thing, because I assume these guys are just going to banter and have some fun with it. So nothing wrong with that. Also, nothing really too serious, but more so just confirmations. The first one being for Ghost Gaming. Ghost Gaming has officially welcomed Mektos to their roster. They played in the WSOE qualifiers with Mektos, and they did come through as the first seed. We'll get to watch them for the first time tomorrow on the WSOE channel, which will be starting at noon Central. But he will be joining Line Blaze and Freshness as the official roster, as they just competed in the closed qualifier of the grid as well. So congrats to Mektos as finding a new home as one of the former Plot Twist members. Also, for other teams that have officially kind of stated what they're going to be doing for their situations, we already knew this was happening, but the V1 squad has officially confirmed that COM is joining them and that they have released AXB. So we are getting confirmations now that trade windows have closed. Still waiting on some stuff from Europe like Ronicky to Team Liquid, just because I assume contract negotiations are still in talks. But hopefully eventually we get a little bit more update on those things, which I'll keep you guys up to date as soon as they come out. Also, another pickup is the Wolverhampton Wanderers football club in the UK and the Premier League and all that kind of stuff. I'm not too well versed in it. I'm not even going to pretend to be. But they're pretty big from everybody that I talked to in my chat and everything else. If you watch the Premier League and stuff, you should know who these guys are. But they are picking up a roster as well in Rix Ronde, Oli, and Lewis P. So congrats to them. A pretty big organization, another football club coming in. Hopefully these ones stick around and don't drop their roster to pick up a lesser one. Mixtures of some teams, former Libertas and everything else. It'll be interesting to see how they progress forward now that they have some backing to them as well. Also, last but not least, good buddy of mine, Leaf X, the host of the RLCS, has actually just started up a new TV show that is on Jinx TV on Tuesdays and YouTube on Wednesdays called Rocket League Central. Not to be confused with the OG Rocket League Central group put on by Cloud Fuel, but they have got permission to get the name, and it is basically a variety recap style show. Basically takes what this channel is and turns it into a super highly produced TV show for Jinx TV. Leaf will be hosting it. I forget his co-host. I watched bits and pieces of it, but pretty good production quality. It's put on by the North Arena crew up in Canada, in the Toronto area. So it'll be interesting to see on how that performs, but hopefully it isn't just another one where it starts up and then shuts down again, because I don't think these TV stations recognize it yet, but these shows just don't really do that well for TV. It's better on Twitch, and even if you do it on Twitch, it's got to be like a podcast or something else like that. So hopefully this form of medium ends up having some success, because I am pretty good friends with a lot of people over there. That is going to wrap it up for this video of your Rocket League Esports news. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, drop those in the comments down below. And as always, if you guys enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.